it's always a challenge when you move to a new place, moving to a college, to be a student, getting a new job and moving, to kind of develop community outside of your work. The temptation is, I'm only going to be friends with my fellow students. I'm only going to be friends with my fellow professors. I'm only going to be friends with my fellow groundskeepers. You know, whatever profession is, you tend to kind of stick to that little silo. And so I think that's been the challenge, is trying to, you know, foster friendships, meet people as an adult in a new environment.
I think it's hard in 4 years to create a new community with your peers, and also with the residents of the city you are currently in. If it's not the area of the world you're a lot of the time, then it's hard to form relationships. And that's a core concept of community for me.
I don't think the average Lafayette student is super connected to Easton. Part of that is because everything's at your fingertips on a college campus, and that's how it's kind of supposed to be.
Lafayette, to me, does feel like a quite separate community than Easton. That's not to say I don't see students downtown. I see students downtown all the time. I have colleagues that live literally next door to me. So it's not as if it's not as if like the personnel are different. It's just kind of different. Maybe it's just different expectations of me. I'm not an employee of Easton, so I can sort of live differently. I don't know, but it does feel quite separate to me.
I think it was designed to be a bubble, Lafayette. I think there are I think in a way it's like, I agree, you need quiet, you need peace in order to think, to write, I mean, it's such a luxury to just sit around a table and like think about the world. But I also think, as much as it is a luxury, it's also a very like unique and different experience than what a lot of people in Easton are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. And so that creates a kind of lifestyle separation. It creates also a different relationship to like information and what you think is important and what you think is a hardship, like and what you think is not that big of a deal, what you think is not that expensive, and you know what I mean?
I remember graduating from college and thinking about how did college prepare me, right, for living out in the quote-unquote real world beyond college. Got this degree. Was I prepared? I'm talking about like, how did I learn to be a good citizen in my community, in college?
The resistance to connecting with people on like a human level is beyond just like being friendly. It's actually like, this is a mechanism we have to like create a functioning society. Otherwise we're outsourcing it to like other people we don't even know. So we're a world of strangers, alienated from each other.
Over the 35 years I've been at Lafayette, I've been able to watch the Easton community grow itself. There's been significant development in downtown Easton with restaurants and just the urban scene there. That said, that's done to a certain extent to the detriment of communities like the West Ward and South Side. And being in a relative position of privilege, I feel we all should have an obligation to be giving back to the community in some fashion.
Once you gentrify a place and you think about the people who sustain it dead last, the people who build it dead last, you're sitting in your boardroom, ivory tower, making decisions with no direct connection to people's lives and what they're going through because you're rich, you're good, you don't care. Oftentimes we're just so busy doing our jobs and just trying to make it through the semester and the year that there aren't those opportunities to. But I do think what has to happen is that has to become more of our job. It has to become more of our jobs to not like kind of, you know, do what we can to kind of you know, think about what it means to move between those two spaces. Like art is kind of trying to be that bridge, at least from the Lafayette side of things. But I what I don't see it enough of is Easton coming up the hill. Easton being invited up the hill, like beyond just the people who work here, you know. And I mean, you kind of get the sense, well, this is kind of not for them. You know, it's not for, and so even that choice of word for me, them, is because I am a part of Lafayette in this very particular way, and then at other points I'm not, when I walk down the hill and go home. So,
you know, what is community? And I think to me, when I'm trying to define community, think about relationships.
Community is about sharing and about support. It's about feeling seen and feeling welcomed and feeling like you belong. And in various ways, we are a part of many different communities, and sometimes those overlap and sometimes those are very disparate. But yeah, I think it has a lot to do with sharing, support, and a sense of belonging. So I think the easiest examples are on College Hill, right? And seeing folks take walks around campus who aren't necessarily involved or going to a class or teaching a class or anything like that, walking their dogs, throwing the frisbee, all of those things. I think too that something that comes to mind are all of the opportunities for community members to visit and benefit from the resources of Lafayette. So I think about Skillman Library and the ability for folks in the neighborhood to have a library card at Skillman and check books out, to go to the to Gilbert's or to the Skillman Cafe and grab a coffee, to meet people there, the trick-or-treating and things that they do for the little kids in the neighborhood.
I'm not involved in any community organization or anything like that, but you know, going to the farmer's market every weekend, I shop at the public market more often than I probably should. Restaurants downtown, like the downtown life is the way I participate in the Easton community, I'd say.
Trying to push yourself to talk to people that do that invisible labor, that is, to me, that's like an amazing thing. That's a beautiful thing. Like, there is an opportunity there for sure to support that. Just, you know, I mean, even on the syllabus, like, you can put like, these books are all available for purchase at Books and Puppets. You know, that's something little that like any professor could do, just under the required text.
Would you like to see, like, in the future, would you like to see more like more of an intersection between Easton community and Lafayette community?
Absolutely. And I think that that's something that the college students are here for 4 years, and we're not here all that time. So I think the college can, in some ways, sort of scaffold this, right? Like, create a framework for where and how students regularly interact with the community.
My current activities include working on a project to raise produce, share that with the underserved communities in the city of Easton, and that's done through the Urban Farm on Southside Easton, which is run by the Neighborhood Center, and I sit on the Neighborhood Center board right now. We've over the whole time period, we've involved Lafayette students in the process. They work as Excel scholars. They learn how to, they learn about food systems, about food agency, about food issues in communities like Easton, and they're literally the ones who help the urban farmer at the farm grow the produce, and then we distribute on a weekly basis.
I'm happy that folks are getting off campus. I wish there were more reasons for students to interact and get off campus that were just of their own volition and not a school sanction, like we're going to take a field trip or everyone's going to go to March Elementary on this day. I wish there were more opportunities, but I don't see those yet. In my experience, if you treat college students like adults, they will behave like adults 9 times out of 10. And when organizations are coming to Landis and Lafayette and asking for college student assistance, I think that's a similar mindset then, right? It is, these are people with expertise. These are people with time and enthusiasm. Let's leverage that and let's get them involved. And I think that's a similar, I mean, we're coming at it from a similar mindset then, and that's exciting.
Students at Lafayette are very tenacious, and I think it's like a lot of student motivation to want that type of connection.
It's not only teaching and talking with, ambitious, eager, and sharp students such as yourself, but it's also about like trying to see the world more clearly.